Jai Jineന്ദ്. This is Dr. Anil Singhvi, and today I'll be giving you a brief preview of my presentation on higher consciousness in love and marriage. Now, we do know that possessiveness never works. When you have possessiveness of material objects, we know that it is parigrah and it leads to pretty much a lot of dissatisfaction, conflict and unhappiness. Similarly, parigrah in marriage or relationships also does not work. So, we will be throwing the light of higher consciousness on the phenomenon of marriage and see how we can go further in this aspect. What we will learn in this presentation would be true for getting better relationships with your friends, with your siblings, with your parents, co-workers, of course your partner, and even your dog. So look at the matrimonials. These are some of the matrimonials that you get in the newspapers in India. They are pretty, you know, you can put your own adjective over there. But what happens? Even after so much of screening, so much of selection, what happens? 50% of marriages are now ending into divorces, and even those who do not end into divorce have a dead relationship. Why? We will look into all these reasons at the beginning of the presentation. But you know what? Why do you get married? Now, David Snark, in this seminal work on passionate marriage, it's a fantastic book. He says that we get married for the wrong reasons because we haven't matured enough for the right reasons to exist. And struggling for the right reasons for getting married can actually produce the right reasons to stay married. So this is something very profound, and we will be exploring this in detail in the next few slides in this presentation. What are the wrong reasons to get married, and therefore what can be the right reasons to get married? For the wrong reasons, these are some of the reasons people get married. One is distress, loneliness, low self-esteem, anxiety, or there could be a need for self-enhancement, which leads to possessiveness. This could be due to aging, that your age is becoming advanced and therefore you should get married. For sexual desire, for fantasy. The fantasy could be that two people can live more efficiently than one. This actually turns out to be a very big myth, because two wrongs do not produce a right. Two unhappy people can never complement each other in search for happiness. Then we examine the Procrustes bed syndrome. I firmly believe that this kind of a Procrustes bed kind of approach, a mentality to marriage, actually leads to its failure in majority of cases. So what is this syndrome? We will of course examine this in detail in the presentation. Then we will also examine this question, which always irks us, which always bothers us. Did I pick the right person? Even 15 years, 20 years down in the marriage, you might always find yourself asking the question, is this the right question? We will examine this in our presentation. Then we will examine the process of differentiation. This is the key. This is where the solution starts to appear. Now, this is how we understand what is differentiation. This is a balance between individuality and togetherness. How your inner sense of value actually gives you your self-worth, and now not the outer circumstances, not other people, and not your partner as well. So we will go into depth into this process and understand this process. So when you are differentiated, you don't have any suffocation. You don't feel suffocated when you're close. These are some of the characteristics of undifferentiated people. These are some more characteristics of undifferentiated people we will explore in detail and with some examples. And then we go on to another aspect, which is the stamp collection. You know what, this stamp collection phenomena is another big issue, not only in marriage but also in other relationships as well. So this stamp collection is nothing but memories from the past, and we will talk about this in detail. Then we will discuss the Serenity Prayer. This is a beautiful prayer which, if you can internalize, is going to make your life completely peaceful and conflict free. Then we will have some fun quizzes like this, where you got to spot which of these couples are dating and which of these couples are married. And then you have to give the reason beyond why you think which is which. And this will lead us into intimacy, about the process of dating, about the process of courtship. And this is important because this is where you're going to select your partner. So you have to understand what is self-validated intimacy and what is other validated intimacy. And this is a very conscious phenomena. So intimacy, as you know, is about self-disclosure. Then there are various forms of intimacy, as I said, and the other validated intimacy is this. I'll tell you about myself, but only if you tell me about yourself. If you don't, then I won't either. But I want to, so you have to. I will go first, and then you will be obliged to disclose. It's only fair. Isn't this cute? So this is what happens. But is this the true intimacy? No, it isn't. Self-validated intimacy is the key. And we'll go into the depth of self-validated intimacy in this presentation as to what exactly should happen and what should be the truth of your beingness. And finally, as the curtain drops on our presentation, we find love. The presentation does have a happy ending, and your relationship to your partner becomes just like a prayer to God. So that was about our presentation. Jai Jinein. Wish you all, each one of you, all the best in your closest relationships. Bye-bye.